You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Oh, well, hello, friends. Happy day to each of you. Hope everyone's week or weekend, depending on when you're listening to this, is going well. Today is, yet again, not surprisingly, another fun episode. I say that with most of my episodes because most of my episodes are pretty fun. I hope you would agree with that. But if you haven't already, to get all the updates on when I post a podcast, be sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that little subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching this, or just head over to my website, theberardo.com, and you can subscribe there. It doesn't cost anything, but you'll just be getting updates every time I post an episode. And we are doing weekly episodes now, so I hope you will rate them, share with a friend, share with the family, help me grow the podcast. Without you, I am nothing. So hook a brother up, would you? Thanks. But today's episode is going to be a good one. I actually talk with a health and fitness expert, Ryan Stroeder. Ryan, I actually got a chance to talk with his wife, Monica, on a previous episode. You can listen to that. I think it was like maybe 10 episodes ago. I'll leave that in the episode notes. But Ryan and Monica, they both have done some great things in the fitness industry. So I wanted to kind of pick his brain a little bit in terms of getting back to normal, so to speak, with everything that's happened these last couple of years. A lot of us have kind of struggled with physical and mental health. So, a lot of that is not just what we intake, from a supplement standpoint, but also the food we eat, the type of workouts we do, the type of activity in general that we do. If you have family or kids, sometimes it's a challenge. But at the end of the day, there's no excuse. I mean, you got to get shit done. And you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your body. And obviously that's a lot of what my podcast is, because I believe in it. I know about it. I like to talk to people that are experts in it, because I think in order for us to live a long, healthy life, we got to know what we're talking about. And sometimes we get clouded a little bit with the content that we consume, whether that's keeping up with the Kardashians or TikTok videos, watching too many shows on Netflix. Sometimes we forget that the most important thing is our family and loved ones and our health. If you don't know where to start, that's okay. A lot of people don't. No big deal. First step is probably listen to a couple educational podcasts. Step 1 completed. Good job. But also step 2 is supplementation. And I use Perfect Keto. Perfect Keto is my go-to for everything that I use from a supplement standpoint. They have some great powders, like Super Greens, which is one of my favorites, lemon flavored, so you can actually just mix it in water. It's a scoop that you put in powdered form, throw it in some cold water, mix it up, and you got up to 26 fruits and veggies in one little drink. It is a powerful drink, and if you're like me, you don't really have the time to consume that many fruits and veggies, you just use the powder and you're good to go. They also have tons of great stuff like collagen that I use for my coffee, protein bars, keto bars, nut butters, which is super fat, which I absolutely am obsessed with. I use that all the time with PB&J. Visit perfectketo.com. If you want 20% off, simply use the code THEBERARDO at checkout. You're going to get 20% off your entire order. So it's a win-win. You're going to love it. Perfectketo.com. But thank you for sponsoring the podcast and just for being a good partner. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Everyone, please help me welcome Mr. Ryan Stroeder. I want to get into your background and why I wanted to have you on and all that jazz as well. But yeah, to kind of give you like a elevator pitch on my podcast. So I have a background in health and wellness. I was at LA Fitness, which is a health club down here in the States.
Yep.
And, back when I was...
We trained there in Beverly Hills a few years ago.
Oh, was that right? Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I have a couple buddies that still work there that are higher up now, but I was there when I was 18, one of my first gigs. Yeah. And then I was in sales for quite some time, got promoted, and then I was like, this is great, but the shitty part about being in sales is like you're in sales at the health club. Yeah. So you're wanting to sign people up just to make a commission. And I was like, I'm not really doing anything because I don't know their progress, right? Like once I sign them up, it's one and done. Yeah. So then I was like, well, I want to get certified. I want to get away from the sales side and become a trainer. So I did that for about 4 years. And unfortunately, I mean, you know how it goes in that industry. It just got so competitive and social media started ramping up again. So it's like, all right, well, let me get out of this industry. Let me get something that's a little more lucrative. And I got out of the training industry and just went into beverage and became a marketing expert in that field and have been doing that for quite some time.
What kind of beverages?
So I worked at Coca-Cola first.
Right.
My dad worked there for 17 years. So, hey, listen, benefits, 401k, like this is the way to go. And I was like, all right. I was a kid. I started in the warehouse and had to move up into sales because he couldn't hire me directly because of conflict of interest. So, and then I got into marketing and then I worked at Monster Energy for almost a decade. And I just left them a little while ago.
The most addictive liquid on the planet, in my opinion.
Literally the most addictive. And not just because of the actual ingredients that are addictive in it, but just the attitude of like, especially if you're a millennial or Gen Z and you're in that realm, like that type of stuff. Same thing with Celsius. That type of stuff, the attitude, the culture, that's what's the most addicting.
Yeah, that rise and grind hustle kind of ethos.
Yeah, man. And it gets you hooked. And then once you taste it and you're like, ooh, strawberry guava. And then you're hooked.
0 calories, you say, sir.
Yes. And not only that, but there's ingredients in there that I don't know how to pronounce, but who cares? It's just a drink. No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not going to injure my body. And, that's...
What's your opinion now?
Well, that's what's interesting.
How do you see it from a health? Like if I was like, hey, I drink 2 Monster energy drinks a day, what would you say to me?
Yeah, well, I think I'm still in my my non-disclosure, so I'll wait. But no, I mean, honestly, just kidding. But no, I am. But honestly, the reason I think I kind of branched off a little bit more, like subconsciously, something happened. Maybe it was when I started this podcast. Because I started this podcast like 6 years into working at Monster. I mainly wanted to do this podcast as a way to get my like health and wellness fix because I wasn't doing it in my job anymore. And ever since I stopped training, because I've always been, big into working out, still to the day work out 7 days a week, but I had no way to kind of vent that, spread my knowledge, and more importantly, keep up. I mean, obviously my certification expired, after 4 years. I didn't renew it. How can I continue that trend? Like I'm not going to get recertified and do it on the side. I was working too much. So let me start a podcast and let me invite people that are currently certified or people that know about the health and wellness industry, because that shit's always changing. I mean, when I did my certification, the movement and the way we eat now is completely different than when it was 20 years ago when I first started getting in the industry. So it's so interesting how much it changes. And I was like, well, what can I do to kind of continue to learn myself, but also, teach other people? And that's where I started this podcast. Maybe just subconsciously, I was like, I want to get out of the beverage industry at some point and do something that is a little bit more up my alley, for what I wanted. I think that's when I looked at the energy drink companies that I worked for. But I think when I looked at them, I was like, I'm not confident with what I'm doing anymore. It's a great gig. It's they treat you good while you're there. The money's great. It's fun. You get to hang out with girls and bikers and athletes, and I was on the marketing side, so I was in charge of a lot of stuff where I could meet athletes and shit. It was cool. But now I look at it like that to me is not sustainable for anybody. You're not going to drink Monster when you're 70. Why drink it when you're 20? So that's where my perception kind of changed a little bit. I got out of that. Now I'm a health and wellness consultant at a nonprofit, and I do that just because I'm passionate about it. And then my wife and I just started our own company, so that's kind of what we're focusing a lot more energy on.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. I really resonate with that too, because if there's one thing that's blatantly obvious, if you pay attention over time, is that the experts change their tune every couple years, and some new personality rises up and he's like, these guys don't know anything. Dr. Jason Fung and the obesity insulin model is for fools, right? I can't believe anybody used to believe in this. If you have insulin, you can't burn fat, blah, blah. But it's like, hey, people believe that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 100%. If you eat keto diet, you turn to a fat burning machine. Well, yeah, I mean, you do, because you're only eating fat. So technically speaking, correct. But calorie deficit's the game, big dog. So, I understand what you're saying there, just about like looking and seeking, right, for basically the truth. Because we all want to be better. There's something within us that is pursuing mastery, at least with me and my circle, right? You were pursuing mastery, you're pursuing growth. Like there's only expansion and contraction. There's no stagnation. That's just not how the universe works.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in terms of like fitness journey, I've been down the same path, man. And I've had some crazy twists and turns, you know, like I mentioned to you earlier about how I had a really bad health scare. This is like, well, it started like 15 years ago, but it really kicked in like 7 years ago.
Mm.
And essentially what happened was I got a really bad disc bulge on my L5S1, okay, which is like right down at the bottom of your spine, right where it meets your hips, right? It just so happens to be directly adjacent to the sciatic nerve. And so the inflammation from that injury pushes on the sciatic nerve, right? Impedes communication with your leg. So you start to get numbing in your foot and just causes like unbelievable pain. Okay. Unbelievable. And the degree of the pain is completely related to the angle that your hip and knee is at. At the time, you know, I was really pursuing strength training. You know what I mean? You're trying to get stronger. There's a little bit of ego involved, you know, 5-plate deadlift, 4-plate squat, 3-plate bench, you know, just, you know what I mean? You're there with your boys, you know what I mean? Powdered protein shakes and creatine and all this kind of stuff.
No pain, no gain bullshit.
No pain, no gain, right? Yeah. Man. So one day I went in for a pretty heavy squat session. At the time I was doing German volume training. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but 10 sets of 10 reps, pretty severe. And that night, like I just couldn't sleep. The pain that I was experiencing was unlike anything I had ever encountered in my life. It literally was impeding my ability to hold a thought longer for a couple of seconds, which is something that you just take for granted, your ability to think without having something completely interrupt you. You know, immediately I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I call my registered massage therapist. She comes by, she gives me a massage. I pursue her treatment plan for a little bit. It's not working. I can't sit in a car. I can't sit at a desk. Do you know what I mean? I have to be vertical or horizontal. That's it. Right. And even then it's just vicious. So I start going seeing McKenzie spine experts. I start going to see, who else did I see? I did physiotherapy. I did shockwave therapy. I did intramuscular stimulation, which is where they put these needles in you and just electrify you. I'd say like 3 to 5 times a week I was somewhere because you're desperate, right? You're looking under every rock, right?
Doing everything.
And I remember, you know, you've met my wife already, but I remember one day and I came back from a shockwave therapy session. And at this point, I was pretty certain that the shockwave was doing basically nothing other than draining my wallet. And, you know, I'm laying on our old house used to be concrete. And I'm laying on the concrete floor and I was just like in tears. And my wife was like, you know, like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I just got to keep looking. I got to keep trying to find somebody. And, you know, over the course of a few months, and I'm talking like a dozen health experts, like I live in Calgary, Alberta, and this is where it was all going down. But I'm telling you right now, like I was flying to Kelowna and Vancouver. Like I didn't care. Where are the brains? Do you know what I mean? Somebody help me. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, not to interrupt you, but it's so interesting, even with the knowledge that you know in the background that you have, everyone's giving you different shit, saying, hey, this will work, that'll work. And it's always like that because we're always learning new information, to your original point. It's so hard to find the answers.
Yeah, you make a great point. And, you know, it's like that saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you go to the physio guy, he's like, physio is the solution. It is the way and the path. And it's like, pretty quickly I realized, and this is where I lost a lot of respect for doctors and medical professionals, but I realized that I was educating these people. They were telling me their specific modality and how their interpretation of the functions work and relates to my issue, etc. But then I'd be like, well, yeah, but what about this, which I learned from this other guy? You see what I'm saying? So very quickly I was like, man, these people I'm dealing with are just, you know, they got their blinders on.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, I go to a pain therapist. Okay. This guy in the city named Dr. Reddy. This guy's a miracle worker. God bless him. I tell him what's going on. I'm like, man, I just need something for the pain. I don't care what you give me, you know? And he's like, why don't you why don't you strip down to your underwear and walk down the hallway here? I walk down the hallway and he's kind of looking at me, looking at the way I walk. He's like, okay, turn around, walk the other way. Okay. You've torn all of the ligaments in your sacroiliac joint, and it's preventing your hip from sitting in the correct position, which constantly causes torsion, right? On that L5S1, because it's in the extended position.
Which is affecting the sciatic. Yeah.
Which is affecting sciatic. And I was like, oh my God, ligaments.
Dude.
Right? You can't heal ligaments. And he's like, of course you can heal ligaments. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so that's when I learned about plasma-rich PRP, it's called. Okay. So they basically take your blood, they centrifuge it, isolate the healing part, because there's a little bit of healing factors everywhere in your blood, right? But they just isolate the shit out of it. Can you swear on this podcast?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, great. Monica gives me flack all the time because it's a bad habit of mine. But
well, Monica was too G-rated when I had her on, but it was fun. But it was,
oh man, yeah, we'll talk about Monica later. But PRP can heal you, and I was like, this is like total bullshit. Then I started doing research into it. I learned about stem cell therapy. I was in contact with some clinics down in Costa Rica. I was going to go down there and do stem cell therapy for like $80,000 American. Yeah. Okay. But Dr. Reddy was like, just try the PRP. And so they literally go in with like a fat needle and they drop these little droplets of liquid gold onto whatever needs healing. Part of your blood is called plasma. Okay. And within that plasma, there are small little molecule chains, peptides of different sorts, healing factors, growth factors, okay, that are just always circulating through your body. So if there's ever a little bit of damage here, as it flushes through, it'll heal it a little bit. And what they're doing is they're hyper concentrating this stuff as non-invasive as you can get, considering it's just a blood draw. Wow. And so they went in and, over the course of probably like 3 years, I did 4 different sessions of PRP, even after the first session within 48 hours. And here's the thing. If you look at the way ligaments are supposed to heal, okay, and you look at the duration that it's supposed to take ligaments to heal, I should not have noticed anything within 48 hours. That's just a clinical, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, within 48 hours, it was day and night. Really? It was like, when you find a solution and you're like, this is it. This is it. The proof is in the pudding. Wow. So basically, at that point, Dr. Reddy basically gave me my life back. At that point, I was like, I healed myself. Now, did I need medical intervention? Absolutely. But what were the 2 things that did that? A, the correct diagnosis and the PRP treatment, and B, the fact that I didn't give up. Right. We got socialized healthcare up here in Canada, so maybe there's a bit of a different attitude in the United States. But certainly when I talk to people here in Canada, you go to your doctor, you do whatever he says. If it doesn't work for you, you wait till he changes his mind. Yeah. Okay. And so at that point, I realized, there's a lot more than deadlifting 5 plates. There's a lot more than squatting 4. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So basically from there, in a similar type of trajectory, I really got interested in different modalities, different types of approaches, whether they were internal approaches from, a spiritual perspective or a mental discipline perspective, via meditation, cold showers, all those things. I did training with Wim Hof. He's a great guy. Used to do that all the time religiously. We've got a sauna in my house downstairs, but really where it started to really unlock for me was when I met my wife, because she's a cardio bunny. Okay. Right. And, she's on the treadmill and this is like when we're just first starting to date. Right. All right. And I'm like, so what are you trying to do at the gym? She's like, I want to grow my butt, Of course. And it's like the cardio is not going to do that for you, sweetheart. So I just, I did knowledge download, progressive overload, periodization, long cycles, short cycles, everything. We talked about nutrition, protein requirements, how much you need per pound of lean body mass, all those kind of things. And then she took everything I told her and did it perfectly and flawlessly, better than I have ever done it. So I was like, oh shit, who is this girl? Like, what the hell? And her body was just like, and
then boom, you fell in love with that.
Yeah. And so that's when I realized that the consistency aspect of things is so often overlooked. You know what I mean? Everybody's after these quick fixes in terms of health tricks. And, hey, look, I'm probably the worst, right? You're like, well, I could track every single thing I eat, but maybe this other thing, you just drink this drink and this is skinny tea? Fuck, it's called skinny tea. I mean,
my God, yeah. Yeah, there's even these, especially with social media ramping up and all that, there's always, tricks and tips and shortcuts and all that. But you're right, we always do want the shortcut, and that's what's interesting. That's what's so funny about health as a whole. I had a buddy of mine on just last week, and he's a CPT, and we talked a lot about this, to where everyone, like, if you're with the trainer right now and you pay for an hour-long session or whatever, and he's having this issue out in California where he'll train someone for 30 minutes, whatever, 4 times a week, right? And then after a few weeks, you're like, I haven't really seen a lot of results. Like, should I see someone else? And he's like, it's only been a couple weeks. Like, what do you mean? Like, these are your goals. This is what you want. You gave me a plan. It's 6 months. We planned it out. Well, but I saw someone on TikTok that did this, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, 30 pounds in 30 days.
Yeah, all you have
30 minutes.
Just drink instant coffee and lemon, and you'll burn fat like that. It's like we want to rush everything, and you can, right? Let's get a faster Tesla. Yes, I get it. Let's figure out sustainable ways and easier ways to help the planet. Let's shoot rockets into space faster. That's all okay. But when it comes to your health, it's okay to slow down a little bit. Take it easy. Yeah. Do the research. Trial and error. Like when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease about 4 years ago, which is another big reason why I started this podcast, like you, I went to a lot of doctors, a lot of professionals, and every single one said they knew what to do. And they gave me treatments, and it wasn't working. And all I ended up doing was eventually did an elimination diet, figured out that,
FOD maps.
Yeah, exactly. And, figured out, like a lot of people with chronic illness, that, sugar, gluten, flour creates a lot of inflammation in the body, and especially if you have chronic disease like Crohn's, to where every person's different. So maybe one person that has Crohn's doesn't listen to this and it doesn't work for them. But for me, cutting out a lot of flour, gluten, obviously processed foods and sugars and all that, and also meat, and cutting all that out and being strictly plant-based.
All forms of meat?
All forms of meat, yeah. I mean, of course, I started with just eliminating red meat, did that for a few months, wasn't working. Then I went pescatarian, that wasn't working. And then I eventually cut it out, and I haven't had an issue. And I'm off Crohn's medication. I've been in remission for about 1.5 years, 2 years by eating plant-based. I always talk to other Crohn's patients. I'm in these group chats and all that, and that doesn't work for everybody. But for me, I know how to manage it to where if I do have an episode, I used to have an episode where it would get so bad. Mine's interesting because my Crohn's, which, are you familiar with the disease?
I know it's like a gastrointestinal disease kind of thing, leaky gut. Some people are afflicted by it, know.
Like
we don't need to get into the gruesome details, but I get the gist.
I was going to throw up some images. No.
Oh, please, sir.
No, but in a nutshell, essentially it's scarring in the intestines. And depending on where it is, it will depend on how your body reacts. So like you said, leaky gut is one. But with me, mine's at the very bottom. It's kind of like someone stepping on a hose. And I get blocked up. So I don't have any like instances where a lot of people do. I would probably say 70% of patients, you eat some hot chicken wings, they got to run to the bathroom within 2 minutes. Me, I'm the opposite. Me, I'm completely fine.
Right.
And eventually I'll just have an episode where my intestines get so locked up that everything gets backed up. So I get bloated, and then I have to eventually go to the hospital, and they have to pump me out. It's that bad.
Wow.
So now I'm realizing where that hasn't happened to me in about 2 years after being plant-based. But if I feel it coming, because now I can kind of like feel it, then I'll just juice, and I'll fast for, 16, 18 hours, and I'll just have nothing but juice for sometimes a day, sometimes 2. And I'll wait till I cleanse myself out, because essentially I'm realizing that my intestines just, for whatever reason, they're overworked, and there's no reversing it aside from stem cells, which I want to get into more about. So I'm just going to have to fight through when it does happen. That's kind of the interesting thing, which, by the way, not one doctor told me to do. Everyone wants to throw me on Humira and all this medication, and, they want to shoot me up with a bunch of shit. And I stopped going to my gastrologist about 2 years ago. call them if I have a bad issue. But yeah, it's just weird how I don't think they do it on purpose. I just think
No,
everybody.
they're looking through toilet paper tubes.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Everything is like this. Oh,
Yeah.
peer reviewed or not? What
Right.
did the other smart guys say? It's like
Yeah.
there's like 10,000 people in this Facebook group that tell me that this thing might work, and it's like, well, that's a Facebook group. You're like, yeah, but I don't care. I'll try anything. I'll eat You want me to eat garbage?
Yeah.
I'll eat garbage, bro.
Whatever works.
You know, whatever works. You know, and just going back to your earlier point, there two things came up that really clicked with me. And the first was when it comes to the personal trainer telling you that, you know, a few weeks is insufficient to see results. And that comes down to an aspect that people like to ignore, which is just your human psychology. Because the truth of the matter is, if you don't see results in 2 to 4 weeks, you're probably not going to stick with it. Okay.
Mhm.
That's just the truth. 80% of the time we're just running monkey man firmware. You know what I mean? Food, work, typing,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, it's only like X amount of percent, 20%, 10%, who knows what it is, where we have our higher functioning cognitive selves. Like, oh, yes, this is what I should be doing. I will behave in this manner and think these thoughts. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that, you know, there's a lot of, Monica and I both, we train various people as well. And we've been doing this for years. You know, she's got her online platform I'm working. Mine is referral only right now. And one thing that we've really noticed is that there are methodologies you can use that will guarantee long-term results, but then there are others that will get you some short-term results.
Right.
And if you can get the short-term results, people will buy into the long-term results.
Mhm.
Okay? That's just a fact,
That's right.
right? So, you know, that's the first thing. The second thing that you mentioned there that I thought was very interesting, that I've been thinking about a lot lately, talking about a lot, reading about a lot, is in relation to the gut microbiome, food processing, gut health, all those kind of things. Because what has really unlocked things for me is just in the last like year and a half, I've really figured out diet, like to the absolute core for me and for, you know, the people that we're dealing with.
Right.
And so, you know, it's quite obvious about, you know, look, calories in, calories out is the end of the conversation. Okay. Now, what your calories out actually are, I mean, like the Apple Watch and the Fitbit and all those things are just total fucking bullshit. Okay. They are total bullshit.
Yeah, right.
And I invite anyone who's listening to this to track every single thing that you eat for a week and weigh yourself with a Wi-Fi scale every single day for a week. And then if your weight didn't change, well, then you know exactly what your maintenance calories are. If your weight went up a little bit, well, you just go online, figure out how much that up equals in calories, subtract it. Now you know what your maintenance calories are. Okay, so you can figure out what your true end of the conversation, no one can argue with you, maintenance calories are in a week.
Yeah.
Okay? But most people are like, oh, I just burnt 400 calories on the friggin' elliptical. I can have
my
the
watch
donut.
says, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're a gomer, and you're a gomer because you are unwilling to pay the price. And the price is pulling out your phone, trying to find the food. Fuck, where's the fucking food in there? Did I scan the UPC code? It hasn't been entered already. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's vicious. And look,
Yeah.
I absolutely despise it. But you can very easily figure out what your maintenance calories is. And once you know your maintenance calories, you can start making intelligent decisions about the direction you want to go in order to heal your microbiome, fix your total daily energy expenditure, fix your metabolism. And, you know, I'll just give you a couple examples. Let's say that you're someone who has chronically dieted, or let's say you are me back when I was really into fasting. Okay. I learned about Dr. Jason Fung and all his fasting stuff. And I was like, holy shit, autophagy. The guy won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of autophagy, where your body clears the dead cells out. It's like a healing process, right?
Right.
And I was like, autophagy, this is the way to go. I'm going to like purge my body of all the cancer cells. So I'm like, I'm just going to stop eating. It was around this time that I had learned about the secret about salts. Okay. There's some great salt documentaries on YouTube.
Secret
you can
about
watch.
salts.
Yeah. So basically, when you feel thirsty or you feel hungry, most of the time you just want salts.
Sodium deficiency. Yeah, sodium. I
So-
have read about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
Oh, yeah.
your cell's membrane is a sodium potassium pump. Okay, things coming in, things going out. And whenever it doesn't have the ion capability to perform those functions regularly, it's deficient, and it
Now-
goes up through.
Now, Ryan, we're not just talking about Pedialyte, just so everyone knows, okay? Like, we're actually
No,
talking
no.
about the real
No,
stuff.
No, I'm not talking about Pedialyte. I'm talking about sodium chloride, potassium chloride,
Yeah.
boron. There's a look. If you Google salt electrolytes to drink during a fast, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And so basically, at the same time that I was learning about salts and how there's some amazing technical analysis of the research on salt and the way that it is biased against salt, and they because they can prove bias statistically, right?
Right.
With their R values and all that kind of stuff. And so there's a good documentary out there. I forget what the name of it is, but it's like it just shows how salt has been vilified. And so once I learned that thirst and hunger are primarily the seeking of salt, I was like, well, that's pretty easy to check. I'll make one of these salt drinks, and then if I feel hungry or thirsty, I'll just drink some of it. We'll see if something happens. And I'm telling you right now, if you make a correct salt drink and you get hungry or thirsty, you drink some of that thing, you're not hungry or thirsty anymore.
Really?
You're not. You
That's
are not.
wicked.
But the most important thing is, I don't know if you've ever done any extended fast. I've never gone beyond 8 days. But
Yeah, no, that's the max I've done is 5, yeah.
yeah, even 5 days. Like you can see through walls. Okay,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. I mean, even even intermittent fasting, there's a lot of bullshit out there. But even that alone, if you're scared to do any type of long term, even just like skipping breakfast, like you think you're going to be tired and you're going to be lethargic, but even that, you get more energy. Like it's interesting how you're more focused. Like it's almost like you had a bunch of caffeine, but you didn't. And
if your salts are balanced. Because there's
right.
going to be a bunch of people out here that are going to listen to you and they're like, oh, I respect Berardo. We also skip breakfast. And they go and they skip their breakfast too. And they're like, I'm actually not feeling so hot.
Right. That's
okay?
right.
It's because your salts suck.
Yeah.
It's because your salts suck. And like another great example, because your body has a specific balance, 4-3, I think it is, sodium, potassium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I invite people to go onto Amazon, Google no salt. That's the brand name of a potassium chloride salt substitute for regular salt. And over time, just play with tasting it. Because if you're deficient in, let's say you have tons of sodium in your body and you lick a little bit of salt off your hand, it will taste salty as hell. But if you need more sodium, it won't taste at all. It won't try to deter you from consuming more. So at that point, I'd learned about the salts. I was drinking the salt water and I wasn't hungry. I was super energetic. I was working 12-hour days. I was coming home. I was hitting the gym. I was like, this is like actually not possible. Now, knowing what I know now, I probably shouldn't have been hitting the gym because muscle protein synthesis, you can't get away from fractional rate. Okay. That was probably dumb, but at the same time, you're experimenting.
Yeah.
And so, 4 days in, 5 days in, 6 days in, 7 days in, 8 days in, you're like, at what point do I want to eat a Wagyu steak here? You know what I'm saying? Basically, as I went down the salt path and the fasting path, that's what really dialed me in, because I've weighed myself every morning after I go to the washroom for a really long time. And so I've got the data, and it's just Wi-Fi scale. Right? I had one of the first Wi-Fi scales, and it's just Wi-Fi scale goes into the health app. And so you can see everything. Like, Monica used to like laugh at me because I was like so interested in reverse engineering my habits. I put this huge whiteboard on the wall of our like 600 square foot condo. And I wrote like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on it. And every single habit you possess, like getting fucked up, like absolutely anything. I put it in there, X's or checks or notes or whatever. So at the end of like 2 weeks, I could lean back and be like, I see a correlation here between the frequency of alcohol consumption and the reduced score on sleep quality, right?
Yeah, you went full mad scientist there. That's awesome.
When you really are looking for something, then it doesn't matter how you get there, does it? It doesn't matter. I don't care. People can mock me for my extreme methods or just how like absolutely focused I become when I'm in pursuit of something. I don't care. because I'm going after what I want.
That's right.
And at this point in time, I was basically really learning about energy balance. I was really, really learning about energy balance, and I was fasting for long periods of time, over a really long period of time. And because I was at that point tracking my food intake, like I'm a big guy. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 218 pounds, right? Pretty strong. And my metabolism was 1,500 calories a day.
Wow.
Now, if you tell that to a regular person, they're like, oh, no, that's not how it works. The formula, you multiply this certain number based on your sedentary, not sedentary activity level time. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm telling you is I tracked every single thing that went into my mouth to the gram, right? And then, anyways. So at that point, I had realized that there's a lot more regarding metabolic adaptation that comes into play for people who are pursuing health goals. Okay. Because there's a lot of people out there who are like, I diet all the time. I do all these things. I do the intermittent fasting. I'm still not losing the weight. What is the issue here? And do you know your metabolism? Do you know what it actually is? Because if your metabolism is like, if you're a girl, it's like 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, like even like 1,400 sucks.
Yeah. Okay.
It means your NEAT is down in the garbage. You're not moving very much. Your energy levels are low. It just sucks. But how can you lose weight when you're at 1,500 calories? You know what I mean? 500 calorie deficit over the course of a week is a pound of fat. 500 calorie deficit off 1,500, you're going to cut a third of your food out.
Yeah.
It's just impossible, right?
And again, that's not to interrupt it, but that's the calorie deficit. When you hear that and you Google it, that's not all the information you need. So like what you're saying is 100% accurate, because if someone just Googles to get in a calorie deficit, but their metabolism is shit, then getting
exactly.
it then it doesn't matter. So yeah.
Or they go onto the online calculators and they're like, oh, I want to be in a deficit. Here's how tall I am. Here's how much I weigh. Here's how old I am, whatever factor. And then the formula spits out a friggin' number to you, which is an average number based on who knows what sample set.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've been eating in a deficit, 500 calorie deficit for a week, and I gained a pound. My Apple Watch tells me that I burned like 600 calories in this elliptical session. It's like, no, you didn't.
But I look fatter. What happened?
Yeah. Basically, at this point, I realized that I've kind of like fucked myself up a little bit from all of the fasting in pursuit of autophagy and like higher spiritual enlightenment and stuff like that. You go sit in the dry sauna on day 4 of a fast. Okay. You see how tough you are pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so at this point I was like, well, I'd like to get a little bit leaner. Summer's coming up. Right. But my total daily energy expenditure is 1,500 calories. Okay. So I got to fix that first. Yeah. And so I started strategically increasing my calories week after week. Now, the price you have to pay for this as you build your metabolism is that it requires precision. Okay. Because your body is an active machine. In times of famine, it starts to slow itself down, which was exactly what happened to me because of all the fasting, right? My body was like, what the fuck? This guy's not eating. Right. And, when in times of plenty, your body starts gearing up again. But there's a maximum rate at which your body can adapt. Okay. So let's say you're at 1,500 calories. I'll just use myself as an example here. Let's say you're at 1,500 calories and you'd like to lose a little bit of weight. The only way for you to be in a calorie deficit is if you're not in 1,500 calories, TDEE. You have to be more. You have no choice. So you have to increase it. Okay, well, I'll just increase it by 500 calories and let my body adapt. But the rate of adaptation of your body is maybe, if you want to play it conservative, maybe 75, maybe 110 calorie, depends on who you are, how big you are, etc., how young you are. But let's just say 100 for easy math and conversation. That's what your body can adapt to per week. So if you do 2, 3, 400 calorie increase that week because you want to start revving up your metabolism, sure, that first 100 is actually causing the signals to your body to begin increasing your total daily energy expenditure via NEAT, etc., metabolic adaptation. But the remainder are just going to fat. Okay, and this is the source of yo-yo dieting. This is the source.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because people lose weight, they don't realize that during the weight loss phase, you're in a calorie deficit. Therefore, there's metabolic adaptation, right? And your body has slowed down and you're like, Friday, it's the end of the 12-week phase. I get to start eating again. And you go back to eating the same stuff you ate before, but your body's not at the same point it was before.
Yeah.
So you got to bring it out, right? You got to bring it out properly. So strategically, I started increasing my calories, 75 calories, 100 calories. I was trying to figure out like, where is the upper limit while I don't gain any fat? I'm weighing myself every single day. I'm being an absolute psycho about putting all my food into my fitness pal. So
yeah.
I don't want any arguments. Okay. I don't want, there's been so many times in my life where I've been like, what really happened? Right. And you're like, well, it could have been your behavior, man. You know, it could have been the habits and the choices you made. You're like, no. It was the other thing.
Yeah.
Anyways. So long story short, I started building my metabolism up, right? 1,500, 1,800, 2,200, 2,600, 3,000, 3,500 calories. At about 3,500 calories, because I'm a bit of a sedentary person, we have a gym in my house, like a pretty complete gym. And so I'm training in there like once or twice a day just because I love it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not a laborer. Okay. I'm at a desk typically. And so at that point, I started to notice I was putting on fat. Okay.
At 3,500, you said?
Pardon me?
At 3,500?
At 3,500. For me, given the current lifestyle habits.
Yep.
So at that point, I was like, I think I'm maxed out. Right? I think I'm maxed out. And once you get to your max, you're laughing because now cutting is a joke. You want 500 calorie deficit? Oh, 3,000 calories, bro. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now you're eating 3,000 calories and you're losing fat. And what that does to your mind is absolutely unbelievable because now you know for sure there's a way. It takes longer. It's more annoying. You have to enter in all the shit, but it works. It's the end of the conversation. There's no quick trick tip, whatever the heck. Buy this thing, drink this thing, put this thing on, sweatband, sweat stick, fucking all that kind of shit. You don't need any of it.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get to here, but going back to the gut microbiome that you were talking about and leaky gut and all of those kind of things, there are macronutrient ratio. I shouldn't be telling you everything. You guys should be paying me for this, but
we should be, but it's too late now. So you got to tell us.
It's too late now. I'll give you it all. So it's not very hard to check with any good strength and conditioning source or sports training source and find out what an appropriate macronutrient split should be for someone, right? Especially if you're training. And, we all know protein is a little bit more satisfying, right, than other macronutrients. Okay. And so, that plays into the whole psychology aspect of things as well. So, just for illustration purposes, let's say you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're eating at a 40-30-30 split, protein, fats, carbs. And the reason you're doing 40-30-30 split is because you are trying to use the increased protein amount in order to create more satiation, right? Because 2,000 calories, at the end of the day, it's not really a lot for most people. I'm talking about guys here, right?
If you're training, yeah, I'm sure.
If you're training, right? But as you build your metabolism, you don't need all that extra protein. Everybody knows the 0.8 to 1.2 pounds per lean body mass. Everybody's seen that research, right? So the truth is you don't need to be dosing up 1.4, 1.6, 1.8. Now, if you're enhanced, that's a whole other ball of wax, but that's not something that's worth. Yeah, exactly. By the time you get up to 3,000 calories, you don't need as much protein. So now you're sitting at a 30-30-40 split. Okay. So now you've jacked up your carbs. And this is where the gut microbiome really comes into play. And it took me a really long time to figure this out over time. You gotta just imagine the workload on your guts when you eat 2,000 calories. And now imagine the exact same body eating 3,000 calories. Can we agree it's more? It's harder on your guts, like quite obviously, clearly. And so there's like very basic, obvious things to do, like avoid nutritional sources that directly feed bacteria types like Candida that work against you by not going for processed sugars, all of those kind of things. That's very easy to do.
Right.
But people frequently overlook and don't really understand your beneficial gut bacteria. And there's people out there who are like, oh, kefir and friggin' yogurt and kombuchas, and I drink it. And it's like, okay, look, that's great. But what is it? What does your gut really consume? And the answer is fiber. The answer is fiber. So if you're the kind of person who is tracking your food diligently, you're in pursuit of a worthy goal. You're willing to pay any price in pursuit of that worthy goal. Okay. And you're dialed in on your proteins, you're dialed in on your fats and your carbs. Everything is dialed in. You have to be dialed in on your fiber. You know, they say the gut is like the second brain or the first brain, really.
Really,
you know,
first
you ever
brain,
been
yeah.
hangry? Like, anyways.
It's the first one.
So if your fiber intake is off, your leptin and your ghrelin are fucked. Okay. And just for people who remember, like, you know, ghrelin, I like to remember ghrelin as a ghrelin as like a gremlin. Okay. That's an easy way to remember the difference between these two. Leptin is satiation and ghrelin is hunger. Okay. So let's say you're in a calorie deficit, or let's say you're trying to, you know, strategically increase your calories to increase metabolic rate, but you're still feeling hungry and stuff like that. You have those are leptin and ghrelin playing on you. And so you have to understand where the source of these things is coming from.
Angel
and
and
predominantly
demon,
it's your gut. It's the type of things you eat. Are you eating are you drinking all your calories? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you eating a lot of foods that are not voluminous, that are not helping you have that satiation? Because, you know, leptin and ghrelin are also affected just by food volume. It's also affected directly by fiber intake. So you have to figure out how much fiber is appropriate for you. And there's a lot of good resources out there, but ultimately at the end of the day, it comes down to the person. Okay. There's good rules of thumb in terms of fiber, but like, I'll be honest with you, for me, if I'm at 3,000 calories of food a day, my fiber intake is so high, I have to be cognizant of it. You know what I mean? I have to, like, I've changed entire meals because insufficient fiber to get me to my goal. But because I've got the fiber high enough and I'm pushing all this food through my body, my guts are happy. My guts are happy because I'm not starving them of anything. I'm not disturbing them by giving advantages to unbeneficial bacteria that's in there. And I had crazy candida a long time ago. I don't know. Have you ever had candida? No? Fuck.
Out of control.
It's crazy, dude. I went to like the poop doctor. This is a little gross, but I'll just be fucking straight up with you. I went to like the guts doctor, and they like make you lay down like prostate exam, and they like stick a tube up your butt and like wash out all your guts.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Colon hydrotherapy. Anyways, didn't work for me, but what an experience.
Yeah. The most I did was, you know, when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I did the poop test where you know, give them your feces and, you know, they'll test that, see if there's any abnormalities. And then, you know, I did a colonoscopy. My first colonoscopy was when I was in my 20s. It's fucking crazy. And they never gave me any feedback that's beneficial. Like me, I'm thinking they're going to come back with some photos and give me like this like very detailed intestinal like layout of like,
give me the knowledge.
Yeah, man. Like I want everything. And, you know, I thought they were going to like bring me back a sliver of it and say, hey, this is the good one. This is the bad one. Like nothing. They didn't do shit. Pun intended.
Literally.
And that's what's it is kind of gnarly what you're talking about with the gut, because people really do take it for granted. What you don't understand is, aside from breastfeeding, right after you get done breastfeeding, from when you're able to eat solid foods, whatever year that is, all the way up until today, your body is eating every 3 hours, 4 hours. It is putting in work all the time. For real. And imagine what your brain is doing. Like your brain is obviously far more intelligent than we think than your gut, let's say. But your gut is the second brain. But your brain is kind of doing all the work a little bit, but you don't understand that everything that goes on in the gut is going to the brain. And it's telling the brain.
I would argue that the gut is probably more important than the brain.
Because what is it? What's the book?
The Master and the Emissary.
Okay.
Just talks about how like the brain is basically a tool for the logical mind, the chopping aspect of the mind.
Yeah, because the gut is telling the brain what to do.
Journey, man. I love your journey and what you're doing. This is awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been wicked, man, and it's interesting because I've always learned for years that, you know, everybody is different, of course, but having this podcast, dealing with what I went through, it's making me kind of open my eyes a little bit more, because I do talk a lot about plant-based and eating and all that, but every single episode that I do about health, wellness, or even any type of nutritional advice, it's always what happens for me is not going to be correct for you. There's a lot of studies, and there's a lot of things that maybe you could take from each person. But at the end of the day, like you said, you got to do your own research. You got to track your own food. You got to track your own calories. Because even what you're saying is accurate, but if someone's eating nothing but quote unquote good fats, and you're eating nothing but good nut butters every single day, all day, every day, and that's how you're eating
so quickly.
Yeah, dude. So it's like, even though your calories are right and your protein's right and your fats are right, it's what you eat. And if you tell me to eat fucking bison and all that shit, I can't eat it because I have Crohn's. So now what? Well, I got to do my own research, and I got to figure out.
The bumper lanes are up. You have to remain within certain parameters. Energy balance cannot be defeated, right? That's the absolute truth. And when the law of individual differences states that everybody's different and will respond differently. And you can approach that from a neurotransmitter perspective in terms of what type of medications work for people and some other ones don't. You can look at it on the gut level in terms of, I've got friends who are vegan and they haven't had meat in so long that if I give them a piece of tenderloin, and this is like I live in Alberta, so this is tenderloin that's like grass finished, no hormones. You know what I'm saying? This is good as it gets. They're just like, oh my guts, right? Well, now you could probably make an argument. You don't really have the enzymes in there
anymore,
and you don't really have the bacteria that are typically used to break those things down. So we're all at different starting points, right? We're all at different starting points, but there are generalized rules. And I think one of the biggest factors, and I alluded to this earlier when we were talking about your personal trainer friend who had that client that was talking about the 2 to 4 weeks. You can't get away from the psychology. You can't. And so it's for a long time, I was really obsessed with this. My dog just came in the room. I was really obsessed with okay, everybody's different, but what are the most common truths about these type of things that will resonate with people and actually get them to do something?
What are the pillars?
What are the truisms?
Yeah.
What are the truisms? The generalized, patterns. Like all forms of knowledge that do not result in action is a waste. If you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I'm going to read this and I'm getting into this new hobby, new skill set, you buy all the gear, you do all the things, but then you don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You think that you're doing something, you're doing nothing. You're wasting your life. So what elements of knowledge, what prescriptions, what fundamental behaviors are good enough to resonate with most people? And if you begin thinking about most people, then you have no choice but to think about the most average person. And I mean, everybody's got a big ego. So when I say think of the most average person, everybody thinks of somebody who's like below them, right? First of all, that's what everybody thinks. Yeah. And second of all, they realize that half the people out there are below that guy. Right. Okay? That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what truisms and what type of approaches and states of mind can be pursued in order to resonate with those people too?
That's right.
Because just like I told you, you're the monkey brain most of the time, lizard, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like you're on autopilot most of the time. Okay. Everybody talks about being in flow state, all these wonderful things. The truth of the matter is most of us don't live in a way that allows us to be in flow state. We have to punch the clock. This is what time my boss expects me. These people are counting on me, all those kind of things. And so you have to flip out of flow state, transcendent version of yourself into, robot monkey mode. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I've always been the guy in my friend groups that is, extremely positive, right? Because attitude is everything. And it has done absolute wonders for me in my life, whether it's my dating life, whether it's my professional life, whether it's my personal life, it's absolutely rocked it. So I've always been the guy who gives people advice in my friends group. Maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, I guess now, I was on Reddit one day and this guy posted this long post about how life's not worth living. And he doesn't, everything he tries just like totally sucks and whatever. And I had just drank like a huge Starbucks coffee. I was just about to go for a run.
Of course.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, buddy. I'm going to drop the knowledge on you. And so I just blasted out these rules for life, you know, and I went into his search history to figure out who he was as a person so that I could better tailor my communication method to him.
Nice.
And he's like a bro kind of guy, you know, like 19, 20 kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, I'll use bro speak. Nice. So I wrote him this long post. Boom, this is how you live your life, dude. Here are the basic rules. Here's the way to interpret things and perceive things. Send. Go out for a run, go to sleep, wake up the next day. I got like 2,000 emails. To this day, I've had almost 20,000 emails, personal emails from people. It was the most popular post on Reddit for 6 years.
No shit.
Okay. It spawned a community of, I think it's at 105,000 people now who are living by my rules in the non-zero. It's called non-zero days. Okay. I was interviewed by Forbes, BuzzFeed, Vice Magazine, Men's Health, Women's Health, If you Google non-zero days, the first 8 pages are all me. Okay.
No shit. Okay.
And so
I think Monica mentioned something like that. Yeah, I haven't got a chance to look at that.
She
That's
told
awesome.
me, she told me to make sure that I bring it up while I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to be respectful of your time.
No, hell yeah. I'm definitely going to Google the shit out of that later, for sure.
Google the shit out of it later.
Yeah.
But look, long story short, there is a subreddit out there with 105,000 people that are trying to improve their lives through very basic principles, simple truisms that if you read them and you understand them and that you make them your own, things are going to work out. Okay? Maybe not perfectly, but I guarantee you they will improve, okay? Because you're taking action on your life. And
yeah. I mean, what is perfect? And I fucking hate that word perfect because, you know, if everyone's saying they want to go through their fitness journey and have the perfect six pack and the perfect abs and the perfect this and my favorite word now is sustainable. You know, like the perfect diet is, and again, diet's one of those funky words, but eating right now is probably better than thinking about how you're going to eat right for the rest of your life. Like those are two different things in my opinion, because your body's always going to change. And I love what you said when you're tracking everything, and you talked about that, because if you're not doing that all the time, every day, every week, then you're not going to have the perfect quote unquote body lifestyle that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do this forever. You just can't have these fads, because if you're not going to commit to doing whatever you want to do in terms of fitness, if you're not able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I can do this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, then you're going to look great for 5 years, and then you're going to tailor off, because as you get older, your body changes. Your body's going to crave more, and it's going to want different things. So you have to be able to adapt and to change and to continuously work at this. And it annoys me so much sometimes when I talk to my buddies in particular, because I'm like you. I'm usually the preacher in my group of friends, and sometimes in a good way. My wife gets embarrassed, and that's when she'll walk away. But that's okay. It's an easy way to get rid of her in a conversation. But usually when I do talk a lot about this, and I say, listen, man, like you want the nicest car, you want the nicest house, you want the coolest iPhone, and you'll do anything you can to get that shit. But why do you slack on your health? Why do you not put that same love and commitment? How many people
get up early for themselves?
Dude.
If your boss is like, you better fucking be here at 8 o'clock, you'll be there. Yeah. You'll be there. But if I tell you I want you to wake up in the morning and go and do some meditation or read a book or literally do absolutely anything that would improve your life, you're going to hit snooze. It's disgusting.
I don't want that. So, but you'll wake up early and go on fucking TikTok and look at what your friends are doing.
Absolutely. Look at the butts. Oh, wow. Look at the jiggle.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. Fuck.
It's so crazy. Like I've been doing, I want to get into, dude, I could talk to you for hours. But I know you talked a little bit about sauna and cold therapy, and I've been doing plunges for years. And I have an ice barrel, if you're familiar with that company. It's it's a pretty cool vertical style barrel, but I've been doing that, and I've been doing it in the morning on my non-training days. The benefits that I'm seeing from that versus doing it on a Sunday at 3 p.m. on my off days, it's night and day. Doing it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, for me anyway. I'm just seeing massive
benefits. What type of
benefits
are you noticing versus a Sunday practice?
Well, and again, I'm combining a lot of things in one. So I didn't do an elimination style. But for me, one thing I realized, because I just had surgery, and I could tell you about that in a sec. But right afterwards, when I was able to, I wasn't sleeping. very good at all. But doing it in the morning, I'm realizing if it was a routine, that when I do my ice bath in the morning on an empty stomach, and then I, of course, eat right, and that's on my off days, and I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week, I don't take melatonin anymore at night. I used to have to spray that.
You shouldn't.
Yeah,
if you're ever going to take melatonin, it better be less than 300 micrograms because that's the physiological dose. But you go to the supermarket or whatever you're picking it up, 3, 5, 10. I've seen 25 milligram doses of melatonin.
No. Yeah, that's fucking
okay.
nuts.
What are you doing?
I'll do one spray and I'll call it a day usually. But I don't even do that anymore. You know, I used to have to take
exhaustion is the ultimate pillow. Let's be real.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the next thing I was going to say is I'm realizing that if I could push my body even on my off days, whether it's ice baths, meditation, yoga, whatever, but if I could push my body to the brink, I'm realizing that my sleep is way better.
Of course.
Yeah, because when I go to sleep normally, like before I started doing this experiment to myself a few months ago, before I go to sleep normally, the fucking brain is going a million miles a minute and nothing I could do to calm it down. And what I'm realizing is maybe my brain has stresses, has anxiety. I have to release that, whether it's through meditation or, shock protein. If there's something working out, there's something that I need to, my body's asking me to release it. And once I could release it and I can exert my body's energy and I can complete that session for the day, the next day I'm sleeping 1,000 times better.
Of course.
And
look, it's the body that decides when to go to sleep.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't done anything to make your body tired, then your sleep is going to be shit. Yeah. You ever go and help a friend move or, help somebody do a backyard project or something? You get home, you're like, holy shit, I'm totally bagged. You lay down, you're asleep before you hit the pillow.
The best sleep of your life.
Best sleep of your life. And we could touch on things that affect your sleep in a negative fashion, like alcohol and just literally attitude and emotions and everything. I would have to disagree with you a little bit on a couple of things that you said there. First of all, the sustainable aspect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned at the beginning, look around in the universe, look in nature. There is no steady state conditions. Everything is growing and proceeding, or it is collapsing and declining. So when we're talking about choosing something that is a worthy goal, okay? And like you say, what you need right now is probably not what you need in 20 or 30 years. Absolutely true. But what's common amongst those timeframes? And the common is the pursuit of the ideal. Okay, the pursuit of perfection. And this is where people get it twisted. And this is where, in my opinion, all of the people behind the mainstream media and all this stuff, they don't want you. They want you to stay small. Okay. Fear makes a man live small, period.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot exceed your dreams. You can't.
That's true.
If you've never dreamt of being, of anything, you'll never be it. Right. We're all self-limiting by nature. Perfection and the idea of perfection, we have to recognize that there are multiple elements to it. It's a double-edged sword all the way down. So on the one hand, if you are in such pursuit of perfection that you're anorexic or you're bulimic or any of these terrible things, or, Monica just told me the other day, showed me a research article saying that more men than women have body image disorders now.
Oh, I didn't read that. Yeah. It's crazy.
Bro, my dad's got like hairs growing out of the sides of his nose. He doesn't give a shit. This is new phenomenon. Okay. Yeah. This is new phenomenon. And where did it come from? You think guys naturally got together and we were like, we should be shaving our legs and our armpits and our chest and our balls. Like, what are you talking about? This was put into our minds. Okay.
Yeah.
To distract us from things. And part of that comes back to this idea of what perfection is and the pursuit of perfection. Last week I just got back from Italy. Okay. We went for the month of May. It was fucking awesome. The 3 of us, no plans, everything, just do whatever you want, wherever you go.
Sick.
And like the level of sculpture, art, and architecture is literally supreme. Okay. No one has ever made anything better than that in the last 400 or 500 years, whenever they made it.
Right.
Okay. That's when we peak.
And we have the tools to make it now.
Well, do we?
Well, I don't know. Let's say tools. Well, you could.
Yeah, the tools. You don't have the skill set.
The skill set, exactly.
And the only way those people had that skill set is because they were pursuing perfection.
That's right.
They were willing to, like I mentioned earlier, willing to pay the price of a worthy goal. And they pursued something, I can't remember what the Japanese word is now. There's a Japanese word for the pursuit of mastery over a lifetime. Okay.
Mm.
Because look at the Japanese, like those dudes, you'll have a guy making sushi. He's like the best sushi maker in the world, but that's the only thing he cares about.
That's right.
So if the pursuit of perfection for you is causing you to engage in self-destructive or community destructive or relationship destructive behaviors, then that's a marker that something's wrong.
That's right.
But the pursuit of perfection and the pursuit of an ideal is a worthy pursuit that transcends time. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 40, 60, 80. If you are pursuing perfection, I'm not saying attaining it because it's unattainable.
Now,
But if you're pursuing it, it's worth it.
Exactly. Now, I should have clarified before when I said I hated that word perfect. That's because I think that we're never going to achieve perfection, but I love the pursuit
But it's
of
the
perfection.
calling. Perfection is the calling.
That's right.
To be more, that you could be better. Look, we all know it. You could be better. I don't care how good you are at anything, how kind you are, how giving you are, how loving you are. You could always be a little bit more.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And like there's the whole locus of control thing, right? You focus on yourself until you've risen up high enough that you can focus on those around you. Then you focus on your community and you just keep expanding your circle of influence, right? In the pursuit of worthy goals and your truth, right? This is exactly what you're doing.
That's right.
You figured your own shit out. I'm sure you talk your wife's ear off, right? About all this kind of stuff. And now you're trying to spread the message out to other people. But you have to begin internally. The work has to be done internally. And if you are feeling depression, like, dude, depression is in my family like you wouldn't believe. And I've got the craziest sample set because my dad is the youngest of 18 kids. Okay.
Oh,
and so not only does he have all those brothers and sisters, but they all got married and then they all had kids. And so some of their kids are older than me because, 18 kids takes like 20 some years, right?
Yeah.
So, growing up, like you just got this massive sample set of people to like take a look at, right? And like depression is an indicator. It's an indicator. People think it's an affliction, okay? Like you are experiencing something that's outside of yourself, but it's a calling, okay? Something, whether you believe in God, you believe in the universe, you just believe only in yourself, that this is all mechanistic, I don't care. But it's a flag, and it's a flag that something's off, and it's potentially it's outside of yourself. There are lots of edge cases where terrible things are happening to people, horrible things. Okay, but for the most part, depression is like an affluent disease. Okay,
yeah,
there's way more people depressed in North America than there's people depressed in Africa.
For sure. I'd love to see a study on this, but I can't imagine anybody being depressed in Africa. No, because when they're there, that's their life. They're accepting it, but they're not consuming the outside world. And I think that causes a lot of depression. Like if you talk like I'm sure in Italy, same thing. They look at America, and I live in America, so I can say this, and you're in Canada. Even Canada, you guys probably say this, I don't know. But when you're in another continent, you look at America like a joke. I would guess if I'm in Africa and you're just in your own little world, everything's fine, everything's perfect, and you're looking at America like they're worried about fucking what the Kardashians are doing today. What a joke! Yeah, I'm worried about having clean water. Like we're so outside of other bullshit and wanting. You're not accepting what you have, and you're not being appreciative for what you have. But you're always worried about what you don't have.
But threading this into the core of what I'm trying to get to, okay? Gratitude is clearly key. There's no question that gratitude is the key to understanding and happiness and progression. If you're not thankful for the things that people have done for you, if you're not thankful for the things that you have done for yourself, that's right. That is the real cause of depression. That's why these people who are living like above the poverty line, they spend their day in their eyes, worthy pursuits. I need to get water. I got to go get food. I'm trying to build a house, like whatever it is. Meanwhile, we're over here. Everything's taken care of. Mm-hmm. Everything's smooth. And at 7:00, when the Netflix series rolls over to the next episode, we've got 10 seconds where we realize I didn't do fuck all with my day today. Yeah. And you think that doesn't accumulate? That accumulates. So the gratitude has to extend, again, locus of control. It begins within yourself. And this is why I'm all about the morning. I don't care if you're a morning person, if you're not a morning person, it's literally meaningless. I'm simply describing the fact that if you wake up in the morning for yourself, right, because you'll wake up for a job, we already covered that, Okay. What, you don't love yourself as much as you love your job? You should, right? People love you more than they love your job.
There's more benefits of taking care of yourself than a job, because a job can lay you off at any moment. But
Oh, dude, absolutely. I run a corporation. Our contracts can get canceled in an afternoon.
yeah,
There's no 2 weeks, nothing, some of this HR talkie. But the point I'm trying to make here just about gratitude and the self is that the morning is a tool to create momentum that results in actionable change, okay, within yourself and outside of yourself. If you wake up in the morning and you have a series, you've created it yourself. You wrote it down on a piece of paper. You sat there with a piece of paper and a pencil, and you were like, you didn't go online and read what other people are doing. Okay. Mm-hmm. You wrote down, here's some things that I think would help me. Maybe you read the Bible or you read the Quran. I don't fucking know. Maybe you buy a book of quotes. You know what I'm saying? Inspirational quotes. You go back to the Stoics. What's Epictetus saying? You know, Marcus Aurelius's journals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anything just to get your mind in the right place. And then you pursue worthy goals as continually as you can without break. If you want to break, take a break in the evening. Why? Because you've earned it. And the cycle of doing things for yourself. Fuck you. This is for future me. I want to lay in bed, but I'm getting up. I'm doing old school ab ripper X and I'm going for a run for 20 minutes. Doing this for future me. If you can consistently look back on your behavior and you're very proud of it, like people don't realize the kind of power you get when you sit to yourself in a quiet room and you say, how have I lived my life the last week, month, year? If you can say, I lived my life correctly every single one of those days, it's the ultimate power. It's the ultimate confidence.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you can't argue with it. It happened. That's how I lived my life. Those are the choices I made. So you got to cut out the bullshit, jack up the gratitude through action. Love is a verb, right?
Yep.
That's a fact. I can't stand, like I mentioned, I've got such a big family. There's a few people in my family that are like, I love you so much and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you fucking, where's the phone calls? You know? But
love is a very funny thing, because my wife and I were just having this conversation last night, so I had to bring it up. But sometimes in the moment, we always think we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your exes, you thought you loved them more than life.
Oh, absolutely.
Until you don't. And now you're with the person you're with, and you probably love them but again, the energy and the time and the love we put into other things besides ourselves. And I love what you're saying with, if you could appreciate yourself and give yourself gratitude and appreciate what you have and focus on yourself, that love that you have for yourself, it translates for everything else. And it's
100%.
So interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting.
100%. You start, when people look at you and they're like, "Oh, you're not drinking booze anymore, dog." You put down the robot dick vape pens. You know, like, oh my God, you're totally changing.
Yeah,
right.
It's so weird.
They get inspired. You know why? Because they go home and they're like, "How come this motherfucker's killing it so hard? Who does he think he is?" Well, that's just a fact. Okay, that's just how human nature is. And then after they get over that, they're like, "Yo, maybe I could step it up a little bit."
Yeah.
When your light starts to shine, it shines onto everyone. Yeah. And so just going back to what your wife said there about the cycle of gratitude and doing things for yourself needs to extend to your partner. Okay. Absolutely. And the patience, some people are extremely patient with their partner, right? I know a lot of people who've had addiction issues, whether it's like from like GHB to cocaine or whatever. Okay. Opiates, you know, all the prescription horse shit. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's like, if you love someone, you have to be patient, okay? Because you're like, you said you're going to change. It's going to take forever. Some people don't, you have to change on your own. So you have to show love. You have to be forgiving. And it's very easy to be forgiving with someone that you love, but it's really hard to be forgiving with yourself. Do you know how many times, like, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, a long time ago, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I said I was going to get up early and do the stuff, but I slept in. Why did I do that? It's 9 o'clock in the fucking morning, and I'm feeling bad about myself. Yeah. Right? Because I didn't do something. But if somebody else done that, what advice would you give them? Don't fucking worry about it, dog. It's 9 o'clock right now. Kill it.
Just get up.
It's 9 o'clock right now. Right?
Sorry. I was going to say a lot of people would relate to that and say, well, I just have anxiety. No.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
You haven't done anything.
What do you think anxiety is? Anxiety is the fear of the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you afraid of the future? Because the trajectory as it extends into the future is not what you want. whether it's what you want here or what you want here or what you want in your guts. All these things, all these evaluatory processes are happening at the same time. The logic, the spiritual, the heart. If you are not doing the things that are propelling you in the correct direction in life, you're going to have anxiety, period.
Right.
Oh, Ryan, some people have a real brain condition where their neurotransmitters are... Okay, look, true. If we take 100 people who are afflicted by anxiety, is what I'm saying going to work for 80 or 90% of them? It is.
No medication.
All diseases are self-afflicted. Sorry?
No medication too, by the way. That's just things you could do on your own.
That's just things you can do.
Yeah.
But you got to eat shit for a long time while you figure it out.
You go to the doctor and tell them you have depression and anxiety. They're going to pop you with a bunch of pills. You know, that's...
Oh, absolutely. Or prescribe like $10,000 shockwave therapy programs in order to fix your spine. Right?
Oh.
Fucking guys.
It's like you know someone that has dealt with that.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I know this guy. Like literally my bank account's just getting drained. It's like pay. Like I didn't care. I don't care. That's what money's for, isn't it?
That's right.
Right?
Might as well, yeah. And, you know, again, just to kind of circle back to the beginning of the conversation, you know, doctors, I'm sure there's a lot of doctors out there that are good at what they do. They have great practice. And some of them maybe don't even want your money. Maybe they just want to help you. Maybe.
Sure.
Or maybe they're just a business. And just like a lot of things, they want to make a lot of money. So it's important that if you're going to put as much energy into Netflix and into your car and your job, why not put a lot of energy into yourself? In turn, taking care of yourself is going to take care of your loved ones and your family, and you're going to have a more beautiful and fruitful life. It's just that easy.
Look, life is so long. You have to begin. You will realize this at some point in your life. You know, they say every man has two lives, and the second one begins when you realize you have only one. And so the truth of the matter is all of these doctors, all of these experts, sure, listen to them. Pay attention to what they have to say. They studied very hard. They're standing on the shoulders of giants and they have ridiculous knowledge. But this is a 10, 20, 30. It's a lifelong game. Are they going to be in your back pocket for the rest of your life? They're going to retire. They're going to move to a new city, new job, whatever, and you're back to square one. So people have to begin having faith in their own intellectual ability to evaluate information and to pursue things. There's nothing worse than you put all your faith and all your hope in this doctor and oh my God, please, everything is so horrible. And you don't do anything outside of what that doctor told you. Oh, my appointment is in 3 weeks. I'll just wait. Oh, I can't wait. You know, stress, do. The thing is like, you got to be seeking the answers yourselves. So when you sit down with the guy, you can be as intelligent as possible. But more importantly, you're developing the faith in yourself to find a solution.
Yeah, you got to look at it like when you take your car to the mechanic when it breaks down. You should know a little bit about the tranny. You should know about the tires and the engine and how the actual car works. Because if not, guess what the mechanic's going to do? He's going to bend you over and show you the 50 states, okay? He's going to take your money. So it's okay. This is your vehicle.
You need a new flux capacitor, sir. That'll be $3,500.
That's right. Okay, and then, you know, if you don't know anything about your vehicle, you're like, okay, well, he's a mechanic. He knows more than I do.
Exactly.
So you got to look at your body like your vehicle. Know your body better than the doctors know your body. So that way when the doctors tell you what to do, you could be like, well, hold on. What about this? That's okay. It's okay to question things. I mean, remember, doctors used to think cigarettes were good for you. They used to prescribe them to patients. It's not saying that they don't know things. It's just things change. It's okay for you to know a little bit about your body because you're stuck with it.
Yeah. Look, I love the vehicle analogy in terms of knowing yourself and knowing your body. Look, if you got a 6-cylinder engine in your car, okay, let's say you don't have a Tesla, you're not all fancy falutin, okay? Let's say you have a 6-cylinder engine in your car and you fire each of those cylinders at 1 hour intervals. All right. Your engine's not going to run. Okay, there's very specific, consistent timing that is required to get work out of the engine. Okay, there's a pattern. Has to occur. When it comes to knowing yourself and understanding your body, the inward-looking observer has to be performing in the same manner when it comes to frequency.
Yep. You
have to be looking at yourself. This isn't a Sunday night thing where you sit down and you're like, what did I do all week? No. This is a continual thing, right?
That's right.
One of the most powerful lessons you can teach someone is to teach them how to see themselves as the observer. See, like right now, you and I'm looking at your eyes right now, right in the little screen right here, coming out of these guys, right, going right there. Same thing with you, like this.
Yeah.
I can see myself 10 feet above me in the corner of the room. I can see what I'm doing. I can observe how I'm moving my hand. I can pay attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth. And if you practice that habit of watching, like just literally watch yourself, watch what you're doing, watch what you're saying, watch what you're eating. I can't tell you how many times a client of mine has sent me a message that said, I was going into the fridge and I had I had the junk food in my hand and I saw myself standing at the fridge and I realized what I was doing. It's like, because we got to break the monkey man cycle, right? Yeah. You got to chop it.
And I mean, honestly, that's a perfect way to end it. I wish I'm going to have you on more, because we're an hour and 20 minutes already. This has flown by, and we did not get into a lot of the things that I wanted to talk to you about.
I would love to talk to you more about non-zero days, because it has absolutely struck a nerve with literally millions of people. Businesses have started. People got tattoos. Okay. Dude. I've got, like I mentioned, I've had thousands and thousands of messages from people. I'd like to talk about the simplicity of that a little bit with you eventually.
That'd be great. I mean, even the next couple weeks, I mean, we could set something up if you got some time. So
sure.
Yeah, this was awesome, Ryan. And just so I'm not butchering it, it's Stroeder, right?
It's written Stroeder, but way back in the day, there used to be 2 dots on the O, so it's pronounced Stroeder.
Stroeder. Okay, I got you. The 2 dots. I like it.
The umlaut.
The umlaut.
Yeah.
Bringing it back. So where could people find you, man? And, I want to see, obviously, your channel. If you got any sites, throw that out for me so I can leave those.
I'll have more for you later. We're working on the website right now. I don't do enough social media. My wife is the wizard. Okay, my wife is the wizard. We have osirishealth.com is our supplement line. We've launched our first supplement, I guess it was 6 months ago, relating to immunity blend, science-backed. Go take a look at it. We've got unbelievable team of doctors behind it, specialists, myself, my wife, and it's really been helping a lot of people. We're really happy about that.
No, this was great, man. I appreciate all the knowledge that you gave, and definitely a lot of good nuggets in there. I think I'm not even going to edit it. Like it's all gorgeous, man. It's all great stuff. So
easier,
and it's way easier. Yeah, that too. But
thank you, past self.
That's right. No, but this was great, man. I think a lot of people are going to gain some value to this. I can't wait to have you again. And Monica, just keep up the good work, because of course, how I found her was based off her content. So I know she's going to keep that going, and I'm looking forward to definitely have another chat with you soon, for sure.
Perfect. Take a look at the fiber thing.
Yeah,
I would be very interested to hear your observations around fiber intake.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I mean, I've tried to supplement it, but obviously with Crohn's, with Crohn's, I gotta be careful.
I'm not talking about fuck. It's like, I remember when I was trying to get more fiber, Monica was like, how many grams of fiber do you need? And I told her, and then she was like, well, what kind of fiber do you like eating? I'm like, raspberries? I'm going to eat 5 pints of raspberries every day. Can you buy 35 pints of raspberries for the week at Costco? She's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, real shit. Yeah, but I do need to up my fiber for sure. But with me doing primarily plant-based, I mean, I do eat a lot more fruits than anything, but I'm just always so cautious because I just get full, and then a few days of getting full, and then I have an episode. Like I'm still trying to figure this thing out, but it's getting better for sure. But much more to talk about, because I even got back with I had a lung surgery too that I'm just recovering from.
What about any of the peptides like BPC 157 or TB 500? You ever looked into that?
No, heard.
No,
but haven't.
Apitolom, if you're into life extension, we can talk more about peptides another time.
That'd be great, man, for sure.
All right,
but let's circle back definitely in the next couple days, and I'll shoot you a message after this. But thanks again, Ryan Stroeder, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a round of applause. Just a great job. Ryan, thanks again, man. I appreciate you,
man. I think it's great what you're doing, and I think that you are pursuing a worthy ideal here.
My
right?
man.
It's definitely worthy. And I know how frustrating it can get, certainly watching our social media following grow and watching, product sales and, the ramp that you hoped for not being what what you're actually experiencing. So, I think what you're doing is great, and it's helping a lot of people.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Ryan. We'll definitely stay in touch, man.
All right,
Thanks
brother.
again for all you do.
Enjoy it.